Welcome into the 23rd episode of The Ivy. As I'm Thomas, and I'll be here with you for the next 30 minutes on this Sunday night to dive into everything Cubs related. If you like the Cubs, you've come to the right place, and I'm extremely grateful that you took some time out of your Sunday night to join me here. All right, well, tonight we're going to be touching on the last week of games. It's been an impressive week for the Cubs after what was a disappointing week the prior week. The Cubs bounced back with 2 series victories this week, along with the postponement W over the Angels. We'll talk about all of that on this episode of The Ivy, and then we'll also touch on the NL Central standings and, what's been going on around the rest of the league. So let's start it off with, Let's start it off with last Monday. The Cubs had a postponement game, or a makeup, I should say, of a postponed game. This one was against the Angels, and they won 8-1. The bats went crazy. As for the pitching, John Lester, he had 3 terrible outings before this start, but he went 7 innings, strong innings, 1 earned run allowed, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. He had a 3.32 ERA in the season now. C.J. Edwards had a scoreless inning with 2 strikeouts, and then Dylan Maples closed it out with a scoreless inning. As for the offense, it was actually a 0-0 game after 3 innings. However, the Cubs eventually got on the board. Actually, it was 0-0 after 5. But sorry. I skipped Javi's first stat. I was right the first time. After 3 innings, it was 0-0. Sorry, it's been a long day. I put in 8.5 hours today at Target, and then it's been, watching the Cubs and all that. But back to this, the Cubs got on the board with Javier Baez's RBI ground out. That made it 1-0 in the 4th. Then in the 6th, Javi did it again. It was an RBI double this time. Same result, scored a run. It was 2-0. And then Jay added to what eventually was a 5-run 6th inning for the Cubs. He had a 2-run double of his own after Javi. Then Addison Russell scored in the 5th run with a sac fly. And Schwarber, who had a great week and continued tonight with an RBI double against the Cardinals, but he had an RBI single in this one to make it 6-0. Jonathan Lucroy did have a sac fly in the 7th to get the Angels on the board, but that was it, as Javier Baez and Wilson Contreras, they both homered in the 7th inning, both solo homers, Javi with 14 on the year at that point, and Contreras with 13. The Cubs won 8-1 in the makeup game. Like I said, the pitching was great, the offense was great. Only 1 run for the Angels, 4 hits, compared to the Cubs' 8 runs off of 11 hits. The Cubs definitely got to their former pitcher in Trevor Cahill in that one. But let's go ahead now to Tuesday, June 4th of 2019 for the Chicago Cubs, and they hosted the red-hot Colorado Rockies. This Colorado Rocky team with 8 straight wins coming into this series. However, overall, the Cubs were able to handle them. Unfortunately, we couldn't finish the sweep, but hopefully the Cubs can finish the sweep tonight against the Cardinals. Let's get into last Tuesday's game against the Rockies. The Cubs won this one by a score of 6-3, and we actually were tied 2-2 in this one, but the Cubs eventually got out to a lead in the 5th, and they didn't really look back. When we dive into what happened in this one, Kyle Hendricks made the start, and this was his impressive 10-strikeout gem, 7 innings. He did give up 3 earned runs and had 1 walk. Those 3 runs were off of 6 hits, but 10 strikeouts, very impressive for the professor, and he earned his 6th win of the season. Also, one of those earned runs came in the 7th, which was an RBI single, so right before Hendricks left the game, and he was able to finish that inning, so not too big of a, the 3 earned was kind of more like 2, being that the Cubs led by 3 runs at that point. But after trailing 1-0 at the end of the 1st inning, Carlos Gonzalez's RBI double, that was his 2nd double of the season, scored Javi Baez to tie the game, and then Kyle Hendricks had an RBI single. I think that was like a bloop single to left fielder Tapia, and that scored Cargo, making it 2-1. However, Daniel Murphy with his second RBI of the game with a solo homer. Murphy was really good in this series, and he continues to really hurt us at Wrigley Field. Back to the days on the Mets when they ended our season back in 2015. 2016 we won it all, but going back to that, Murphy just continuing his dominance at Wrigley Field, and he was pretty good with us last year, but nothing like he's been against us. However, Kyle Schwarber's go-ahead solo homer in the fifth, that was his 11th of the season, made it 3-2, and Javi homered for the second straight day. Like I said, he homered in the Monday's makeup game. He hit his 15th bomb of the season to make it 5-2 in that one. And then Cargo with his second RBI of the game via a sac fly. And the Cubs won 6-3 in this one. Looking at the bullpen, Steve Cishek earned his third hold with a clean eighth inning, and then Pedro Strop was called upon with a 1-2-3 ninth inning for his fifth save of the season. And that was that one. So the Cubs improved to 7 games over 500, and looking at the next game on June 5th, last Wednesday, the Cubs won this one as well. This one was just a crazy high-scoring game, 9-8. It almost felt like two different games, as the game was scoreless after 4 innings. It was 0-0. However, a 3-run fifth inning, thanks to a 3-run homer by David Bote, his 7th homer of the season, and this game was all about David Bote. After the Rockies came back with their own 3-run inning in the 6th to tie the game, Anthony Rizzo had an go-ahead RBI single in the 6th, followed by Wilson Contreras' RBI hit by pitch to make it 5-3, and David Bote capped it off again with another 3-run play. This time it was a 3-run bases-clearing double. He topped off the 5-run inning for the Cubs as they went up on the Rockies 8-3. However, the Rockies did not give up, certainly, as Brad Brock totally struggled in the 7th, I believe. 7th inning, a 4-run 7th for the Rockies. He only recorded 1 out, and he got tagged for all 4 earned runs, 3 hits, and 1 walk, no strikeouts. Also, I should mention that Darvish, he was pretty good in this one. However, like I mentioned before, that 3-run 6th inning by the Rockies forced him out of the game after 5 1/3. He did go 5 1/3 and only gave up 2 earned as Kyle Ryan came in there and helped to secure that a little bit, and Brandon Kinsler as well. But Darvish, he was good in the first 4 innings, but then got hit in the 6th. But like I said, the Rockies, going fast forwarding back to where I was, the Cubs were up 8-7 after 7 innings, and then David Bote had another RBI. That was his 7th of the game. 7 RBI for David Bote. An RBI single in the 8th, which proved to be a very big RBI, a very big insurance run, I should say, as David Dahl's RBI single in the 9th made it a 9-8 game, and this was not an easy W at the end, as Steve Cishek really struggled. He did close it out, though, to earn the save. However, he did give up 2 hits and an earned run. 2 big strikeouts, though, for Steve Cishek to put the Cubs at 8 games over 500 and send the Rockies to a 2-game losing streak after winning their last 8 games, and the Cubs winning and clinching a series victory. I'm going to take a sip of my water here so I can talk for a little bit longer, because without Max here, it really is kind of hard to talk. So I'll be right back in about 10 seconds, guys. All right. Let's hope I don't burp now. All right, so let's get into it. This was the series finale, and the Colorado Rockies were able to avoid the sweep with a 3-1 victory. In this one, the Cubs couldn't get anything going offensively. Jose Quintana put in a great start with going 7 1/3 innings. That was across 97 pitches, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, but no walks for Q, as he was very efficient. However, he could get no run support. The Rockies went up with a 2-run 4th inning to a score of 2-0, and the Cubs had a little bit of life in the 6th with an RBI single from Javier Baez to cut the deficit to just 1 run. But that was capped by Chris Ionetta's sac fly, and that made it 3-1 as the Rockies got back out to a little bit of breathing room. Also, I should mention in this one, Mr. Peter Lambert was absolutely stunning and impressive. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. I should mention this was Mr. Lambert's first MLB. It was his MLB debut, his first MLB game. Congratulations to him. You have to tip your cap. I also want to mention that those 9 strikeouts are the most by any Rocky starting pitcher to debut. Big numbers, a big day for that kid. So, honestly, not going to say a whole lot about this one. The Cubs couldn't get anything offensively, but overall, I can't say that, out of the 60 to 70 games we're going to lose a year, the last 3 years, 4 years, whatever, this is one that has a little bit extra meaning behind it in that you're not necessarily just mad because we lost. Because, for me, I watch a lot of the MLB, and it's good to see guys do that, and some losses and some wins mean different things, and they mean different ways. So not too disappointed with this one because of Lambert's impressive showing. Good for him, and I hope we can keep seeing if he can continue to do that. But let's get into it was a clean slate. The Cubs won the series against the Rockies. A little disappointed we couldn't win that last one, but now we had a big series against the St. Louis Cardinals. And so far, I say so far because right now, currently, the Cubs are playing when I'm recording this. And I'm checking the score for you guys. They are still leading 3-1 when I last stopped watching in the 7th. But tonight, we are going for the sweep. But let's go back and rewind to Friday, my birthday, June 7th. And the Cubs got me a birthday victory. It was a short, quick, and sweet one. I wasn't able to watch this one because I actually had to work, unfortunately. But it lined up perfectly with my break, so I could post about this one because it was, I want to say, like a 2 hour and 30-minute game. I'm going to check here quickly for you guys. Okay, attendance time, 2 hours and 39 minutes. So pretty close. I knew it was a short game, but the Cubs won 3-1, and it all started with Javier Baez's solo home run in the first. That was his 16th of the season, and like I said, he hit 3 now this week. With this one. So he's been just crazy on fire. He's had 3 homers since our last podcast. And then Victor Caratini had an RBI double, and boy, did Victor Caratini come up huge in yesterday's W, but we'll get into that. But in the 4th inning, Caratini's RBI double made it 3-0. And then Paul DeJong hit a solo homer in the 9th off of Pedro Strop, which was the only run allowed. Cole Hamels was absolutely just amazing. 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, no runs, 8 scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts. That's the second time this week the Cubs starting pitching has had 10 strikeouts, going back to Hendricks' last start against the Angels. But, sorry, I just kind of burped there. But overall, I think I messed that up. It wasn't the Angels. I feel like... Who did Hendricks play? Just give me 1 second, guys. That's odd. That's very odd. Okay, yeah, it was against the Rockies, not the Angels. June 4th. All right, sorry about that. I just had to correct myself. The Cubs won this one 3-1. Yep. Hamels, 8 innings, scoreless, 10 strikeouts. That was the name of the game. The Cubs only had 4 chances with runners in scoring position, but that was better than the Cardinals just won. Cole Hamels absolutely dominant, 5-2 record so far this season. Let's go to yesterday's game as the Cubs won that one as well. Like I said, we're going for the sweep tonight, and this one was a 9-4 victory. And sorry, I had to cough there. This one started off bad for John Lester. He gave up 4 runs in the first inning, and it looked like it was going to be a long game to watch and for the Cubs. But they answered with 2 runs of their own in the first inning via a RBI ground out, and then Wilson Contreras' and that was Javier Baez's RBI ground out, and then Wilson Contreras' RBI single. And it gave the Cubs a little bit of hope. It's a long game, down 4-2. It's basically like 2-0 after the first. And they came right back with it in the 3rd inning. Javier Baez staying so hot with an RBI triple, his second triple this season, scored Rizzo. to make it 3-4, and then in the